Hello, future home buyers. I want to talk today about the FHA rules and guidelines around rent-to-home purchases and financing a rent-to-home purchase contract at the end of the lease period with an FHA loan. The good news is that FHA guidelines do permit rent-to-own contracts, and the down payment monies that you would have already paid to the current landlord to be used towards your down payment for an FHA loan. So one of the important things that's going to come into play here is the appraised value versus the agreed upon purchase price. When you have a rent-to-own contract, hopefully you will have agreed to a purchase price in the beginning before the contract was signed, excuse me. So for example, let's say you have agreed to a price of $200,000, and a year or two goes by during the time when you're renting and you've been making payments all along. Well, hopefully when the time comes to purchase the home 1 or 2 years later and you have an appraisal, you're going to need that home to appraise for at least that purchase agreement price. Otherwise you may owe a little bit the difference in a down payment. So for example, let's say you agreed on $200,000. A 3.5% down payment for FHA is $7,000. That's what you would need on a $200,000 purchase. But if the home appraises for only $190,000, then you're gonna need to put down 3.5% of the $190 plus the additional $10,000, the difference between the $190 and the $200,000 purchase agreement price that you had with the seller. Hopefully that makes sense to you, and if it doesn't or it sounds confusing, you can just call us or just answer down in the comments, ask your question down there. We'll respond quickly. But you're definitely going to need to have that contract ahead of time. So you can't be a renter and then say, okay, the landlord's selling the house, and then try to execute a rent-to-own contract at that point. It needs to be something that was put in place in the very beginning. You're not going to be able to backdate it. Hopefully that makes sense. So you definitely need that contract, because you cannot get down payment monies or gift funds from a stranger or a landlord without having that rent-to-own contract. So if you're just thinking about entering into a rent-to-own contract and want to speak to someone, or if you have a rent-to-own contract and you're at the point now where you're thinking about it's coming up and you need to get pre-approved for a mortgage to be able to finance it yourself so you can actually be the owner, then just visit FHAlenders.com. We'll leave a link in the description and also the first pinned comment down below where you can get help. The last thing I want to mention is even if your credit scores are extremely poor, we can still do this FHA. FHA does allow for credit scores as low as 500, even though most lenders will not accept low credit scores. If you're not sure what your credit scores are, I'm also going to leave a link in the description below where you can check and monitor your credit scores anytime you want without having it negatively impact your scores. Hopefully that will help you. If you have any questions, we'll answer them down below. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time.